Hi guys, my name is Kirsty. Welcome back to Upside Down Books. Today we're going to be doing my TBR for April. It's going to be a little bit different to normal.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di torno.
So the reason it's going to be a little bit different to normal is because I did such a terrible job of reading my TBR in March. March was just like so busy, so much happened, so many changes, and April is looking really different. I've made a lot of changes in my life when it comes to work and uni and all sorts of things. I won't get into that here, but basically it just threw a real spanner in the works for me as to how my schedule was looking, and I just did not find much time to read in March. At this point when I'm filming a little bit before March is actually finished, so I'm really curious to see what my final count for March is going to be, but I have been really hyper-focused on getting some review copies read. And once again, that's probably going to be a little bit of a focus into April, so we will talk about that, but basically the plan is that I'm going to roll on my TBR because most of it I didn't get to and do that in April. So if you want to know the 4 books that I'm going to be rolling over and you haven't seen my previous TBR jar video, then make sure you follow the link up above and then you can have a watch of that. But if you want to just see them, and I'm going to show them right now, then these are the books I will still be reading. So I have 4 books. So I have The Age of Light, The King's Diamond, A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, and The Crown's Fates. So I am still itching to get around and try all of these books. But yeah, I just didn't have time. The only book that I read was November 9 by Colleen Hoover. And even though I have just said that I've got a little bit of time left before March ends, I'm not anticipating that I'm going to get around to any of these books. So we're just going to roll these onto April and make this the challenge to get to a few of these. Again, I actually don't think I'm going to finish this even so, because reading is just a challenge right now. But I do want to pick another choice, the 5th and final choice of what I would normally pick, which means we'll be picking from my presents jar. And then I want to talk you through the arcs that I will be reading in April as well. So this video is a little bit different to normal. I do apologize that I don't have all of the jars to pick from, but I just thought as I barely touched it, there was just no point repicking. So let's pick the final book I need to pick to make this 5. So this is my presents jar. So presents, books that I got as presents at Christmas last year and my birthday last year. Let's see which one I will be reading. Oh, I have pulled out Lovely War. So this was actually sent to me by one of my friends for Christmas, I think, last year. So let me go and get my copy of that. I'm really excited about reading this one. So this is Lovely War by Julie Berry, and my friend Sarah said that this was just incredible. It's like historical fiction and mythology all wrapped up in one. So I think this is going to be a fantastic read. It has this lovely red wine color when it's naked. So it's a little bit of a chunky book perhaps, but I am genuinely super excited to read this one. So that leaves me with this and A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, is probably my 2 most anticipated books that I will try and get around to in April. Let me read you the blurb for this one. So a sweeping multi-layered romance set in the perilous days of World War I and World War II, where gods hold the fates and the hearts of 4 mortals in their hands. They are Hazel, James, Aubrey and Colette, a classical pianist from London, a British would-be architect turned soldier, a Harlem-born ragtime genius in the US Army, and a Belgian orphan with a gorgeous voice and a devastating past. Their story, as told by the goddess Aphrodite, who must spin the tale or face judgment on Mount Olympus, is filled with hope and heartbreak, prejudice and passion, and reveals that, though war is a formidable force, it's no match for the transcendent power of love. I am just so excited to dive into this. I'm really anticipating that this is going to be fantastic. It's basically meshing together 2 of my favorite genres, so I'm really hoping that April isn't as wild and crazy as March and that I do actually get around to this. So that means there's 3 other books I want to talk to you about that I will be tackling in March as well. I will be trying to read The Codebreakers by Ali Sinclair. I spoke about this in my last TBR video, I do believe, and I just didn't quite get around to it. I have been reading a few other arcs, so this one just didn't quite make it in March, but I will be definitely probably reading this first up in April to get through this. This is historical fiction and it's set in Brisbane, Australia, and it is about codebreakers in World War II, so I hope that this is going to be as good as I'm anticipating. I've seen some good reviews come out for this one already, so I do have my hopes quite high. It's a little bit of a big book, but that's fine. I think these are all going to be really good reads that are going to be a wonderful break from everything else going on. I still need to read Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rennie Edo Lodge. I think I may have spoken about this one in my TBR video. I can't remember if I did or not. I didn't get around to reading it in March, so I renewed my library loan. This is a library book, so I'll be getting around to this as soon as I can in April so that I can return it. Obviously that one is not an arc. But that does bring me to the last arc and the most recent one that I've got, and that is Leave Me Alone by Christian Hull. You you may recognize this lovely face from TikTok. I am really, really stoked. So Alan and Unwin have very kindly sent me his memoirs to read and review. This comes out on 30th March, so it will already be released by the time this video is up, but I am not anticipating that I will have this done and dusted by 30 March. If I do, woo! But I'm expecting I'll be reading this within the first week or so of April. So there's an awful lot of books that I actually want to get around to in April, and obviously uni is in full swing and there's a lot on my plate, but I feel like this is the most honest TBR I have shown you for a while. It's not just the ones I've picked, but everything else too. I'm just really hopeful that I'm going to get around to the arcs and the books that I'm really, really excited to reading. That would be a big tick, especially as I feel like I really let myself down in March. So let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these or if you're planning on reading any of them, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria mia